So just identifying the parts, that's the neck. It's meant to be the neck, kind of been hacked off. And then we've got the wings, we've got our legs, we've got our breasts, and we've got the spine. Everyone knows that? So I like to always start with the neck, just clean up the top bit. Sometimes you might not have the neck on there, you might have it. I always just clean it up, take it to where I want it to be. Grab my big knife, wherever I put it. Alright, use my slicer. I've just got my neck here, just cleans it up. When you pull it out, it might be very wrinkly, so you want to stretch it all out and make sure the skin is where it's meant to be, because if you cut it and it's wrinkled up, it might be short. That makes sense, guys? You want to make sure you're pushing it out as much as you can. So what we're going to do is start with the breast. You can take the wishbone out if you like. So going in and just reaching in, that's made a little incision. It should just come out quite easily. It's not going to. Comes out quite easily, not much on it. And that just makes taking this breast off a little bit easier. To be honest, I don't usually take that off, but I just want to show you guys what you do. In the assessment, you don't do that first. I'm not going to fail you. It's just wanted to show you, to be honest. Then see how there's this line down the middle? Just want to cut down on one side. So we're using our knife, just gliding it down, trying to get as much meat as we possibly can. And see if the wishbone was there, this will make it quite hard to get all that meat off. Getting it as close as you can. I always start with the breast, and you might have seen videos or you might work in a place where you start with something else. I find the breast is the easiest to start with because you start taking all the things off, it makes it all unbalanced, and what can happen is it makes your life harder later on. But again, depends where you work and what is comfortable for you. So I've got a breast and wing. Got a little bit of neck, got a wishbone. While I'm here, the other side, it's always going to be a little bit harder because you can see that it's wonking. You can see I've got a little bit of meat on here. Ideally you want to get as much as you can. But it's fine if there's a little bit on there. If you want to roast it off or reuse all that meat. You could scratch it off and turn it into a pie or something like that. So just using my knife. You feel it's a little bit hard and then it goes soft. What I'm going to do is just run my knife down. Just going to flip this around, makes my life easier. Just sliding it down. You can see the skin is different to the meat. What I can do is just follow it. Two breasts and a wing. Got my carcass, and I got my Marylands that are going to be here. So looking at it, you can see thighs, and then down here is where the hips are. That's where we want to go, as close as we can. Obviously we don't want to leave too much meat. I'm just going to break it, hear a crack, and then you can see the hip joint. Marylands. Got my other Marylands, got my carcass. So what I could do with this, if I really wanted to make sure I got everything off of it, is there's a little bit of meat under here, which is pretty good as well. If anyone had roasted chicken from Coles and Woolies, you have that meat from underneath. Oyster. You want to try and get as much as you can.
That little bit of meat, that's like in like the soften like the bone in the fat.
Yeah.
I see that a lot when I'm working the chicken tree, doing the shredding of the chicken.
Yeah.
Or chicken rolls.
It's a nice tender piece of cut. There's a bit more skin here, so if I really wanted to go even further, I want to have extra crisp. If I put that in my stock, obviously it's going to make it cloudy. You learned that, hey, in stock soups. I can take all that skin off, render it down, use it as fat. You guys don't have to go this far. I'm just showing you. And now I can break the spine off. Cut down here. Don't want to put my big knife. So I've got my carcass here, my legs, my breasts, my wings. Any questions, guys, so far? So what we do is we'll roast this off a bit later on. We'll use that in our braising liquid to make a nice sauce. We'll take our breasts here, take our tenderloin off. So the tenderloin is underneath the breast, so I can just slide that off. We're going to use that to make our mousse later on. What I'm going to do here is take our wing off. You can see bone, and it kind of just wraps around. All I want to do is just cut that out. So using my knife, just following it around. Nice and easy, eh? Got my wing, got my breast with skin on, got my loin. What I can do from here is I'll take my skin off. So we're going to crisp that up, aren't we, in the oven? Paper here, got my skin. I'm going to take that bit of excess meat, I'm going to keep that. You go in my mousse. All I want to do is make sure it's nice and stretched out. And in the oven, that's going to crisp up. I'm going to season it and I'm going to crisp it up. Now with our breast, you can see there's a little bit of meat here. It's not perfect. And I'm going to make a mousse, so I'm going to use it all. There's a bit of sinew here as well. I'm going to talk about that. What happens to meat when there's sinew on there? It tightens up. It'll make it chewy. So we want to take off that. That's just going to go in the bin or in our stock. See how it's got that little indent in there? I don't like that, because when I cook it, it's going to have an indent in it. So I just want to clean it up a little bit. I'm just going to go around with my knife and just clean this bit up. And I'm using that in my mousse. I'm also going to take this bit of sinew off. Put that in my stock. So it's nice and flat when I put it in my backpack bag later on. I'll do this other piece real quick. I've got my wing, cutting around. Here, skin off, set that up over here, loin off, that's all my mousse meat left over. I'll clean this up, nice and tidy, nice and flat, beautiful, isn't it? So I've got my bones in my roasting tray. I'm going to roast them off. When I do my skin, got my skin laid out nicely here, a bit of paper on each side. What I'm going to do is make sure you season it before you roast it. I didn't do that. So make sure we season it up. And what that does is going to crisp up. That weight on there is going to make it nice and crispy. You would have done prosciutto or pancetta or something like that before. Yeah. So that's going to crisp up. So I'll get that done. I'll get my bones roasted. That'll go nicely into my sauce later on. Take the skin off our thighs. So we're going to wrap it in pancetta. And you have skin, you want it to be nice and crispy. You don't want it to be gross. If you want to leave one skin on and one skin off, give it a try. Put it an experiment. It doesn't really matter. It's going to take long. What you can always do with thigh skin as well, you can always flatten it out and stuff it with the meat. Come in here, or chop it up. It's always something you can do.
Chicken sausage.
Chicken sausage, yeah. Now take the knuckle off. So this is the knuckle. Just using my big knife. Chop it down. What you can do is this will push down. Nice easy way to French the drumstick. Anyone done this before? Now when that cooks, the meat will shrink up and that'll come out nice. Beautiful. So now what I'm going to do is cut this bone out. So using my knife, see how there's a sinew here, there's a line, it kind of connects up here, you can feel there's a knuckly bit here, that's where it joins the here. So we're going to cut this bone out, the femur, if you want to look at our bodies when we do it. We're going to cut that bone out and we're going to stuff that. So using my knife, what I'm going to do is just stretch it out like this, and just run my knife down until it comes out. See, I'm just gently running it. I can be rough. I don't have to be perfect because I'm going to wrap it. Just about getting that technique down. And then just underneath, I'm going to lift my knife, get underneath it. And I'm just going to cut. So I've still got a little bit of the hip bone here. I'm just going to cut that out. Put that in my roasting tray. I'm just going underneath here. See how it's not perfect? What I'm going to do is make it perfect by running my knife, just scratching it. And this is called Frenching. This technique of scratching it off the bone is called Frenching. It's not the last time we're going to do this, guys. It's quite tedious.
Why is it called Frenching?
I don't know. I'll look it up. Never actually thought about it. Just accepted it. You can see the little knuckle bit comes out. It should come out quite easily. Pop it off, and it all comes down. So I'm going to leave that bone in there, and I'm going to push this down. I'll do it again real quick. Obviously it's going the opposite way. I've got a little bit of bone here, I'm just going to cut it out first. It was annoying last time. Stretching it out, see a bit of the bone here. Just using my knife. Get underneath. Scratch it down until I can see that knuckly bit. Now you might find it hard to get it out. Feel free to use your knife. As I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. You just want to get as much meat off as you can. Pulling it out is a lot easier. Cut the knuckle off. When that cooks, you'll see it will come out and be nicely exposed. So I have to make a mousse. Anyone made chicken mousse before?
No, chef.
Yeah. The chicken mousse, you've eaten it. If you had chicken nuggets from Macca's, it's a form of it. You make a mousse and then put it into the molds, and then it's a nice texture. So all I'm going to do is my loins, any offcuts works well. So if you do have any offcuts, I'm going to whack it in here. I'm going to use one ladle of egg whites. Why do I use egg whites, you reckon?
Because it helps bind it together.
Helps bind it together. Helps bind it together also once it cooks. So once it's good. When it cooks, it sets firm. So it's going to be a nice firm roll. And then I'm going to add cream to it. And what's cream going to do? It makes it pliable and also makes it less eggy. Seasoning it up. I'm going to add my cream. I know there is a recipe on here. Some sometimes when you're doing chicken breasts, you have less, you have more. It's about what you're looking for as well. I'll show you this. Remember how to use this?
Yes, right.
Start off slow. Scraping the edges to try and get it all. That way it's all there. So what I want to do now, piping bag is probably the best way to do it. What I'm going to do is just move my stuff. My prosciutto. I'm going to lay it out. It's perfect. We all know how to use the slicing machine.
Yes, sir.
You just used it, didn't you? Get my chicken. Make sure you season it. It's easily forgotten about. And make sure this fits in the gap here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use spoon. Yes, the piping bag is 1,000 times better. You get a nice clean finish. So I'm just going to spoon it in. I think if you want to do your mousse in pairs, guys, you get a better result. Just got to make sure you share it between you. That's the big problem. Rolling it, so tucking this with this hand, and tucking this up. Just trying to get it as tight as possible. It's important we get it nice and tight. And we roll it up. Oh, it's coming out the back. Start this again. One underneath, like that. We'll go this way, sorry. Long ways. If I was doing this in a restaurant, I probably wouldn't bother trusting it. I'd just use flat wrap and sous vide. That would be mine. However, what we're learning today is trussing. What did I forget to do? Season chicken. Easily forgotten. Wrap that up nice and tight. I'm just going to put that in the fridge to help it set. It's very soft at the minute. And if I try and wrap it, I might lose that shape. Any questions on that so far, guys?
No, sir.
Whack them in. Nice tight knot here. You want it to be nice and tight. I haven't really left much string here, so I'm going to push a little bit more through. Just a little bit. Don't need heaps. Just tuck it underneath. Nice and tight. And all this is a running truss. I'm going to run it around. So this is just going to help that prosciutto stay on, is the idea. Just tuck it underneath, make it nice and tight. Repeat. So the more you do, obviously, the better it's going to be. The more tight it's going to be, the better the result. I think I've gone a bit short here. So you push it down, you make nice and tight. Might just have enough. I've just wrapped it underneath just to get that seal on the bottom so it doesn't fall apart. And now I'm just going to tie a knot up the top here. That's a running truss. Keeps it nice and sealed, keeps it together, and that's going to help the protein set from the goose. What you can also do is just wrap a string around, tie it, cut it off, tie it on, do another bit of string, tie it. Same result. Just, this is a bit more technical, less wastage. Either or, guys, I'm happy with. And all I'm going to do is drop this in my braising stock.
How long is it for this one?
Sorry?
How long is it?
It says 40 minutes, but I'm going to cook it until it is 70 degrees. So we've got chicken thigh, we want to get it to the right temperature. I'm going to add my bones now. Otherwise, I'm going to add them. I'm going to put the lid on and in the oven. It says 40 minutes, but again, it's about knowing what you're looking for and checking, guys. It might take longer, it might take less. I'll check in half an hour and have a look where it's at 60, I'll give it a little bit longer. Just about understanding what I'm looking for. Sometimes the recipe says at a certain time, it's not going to be exactly that. Whack this in the oven. Also depends on your oven, how hot it is, how hot your water is when you put your chicken in. There's so many variables when it comes to cooking. Try and minimize it, but sometimes it's not always exact. I've made a brine here. That's just water, salt, sugar. Just mix it up.